Hello friends, Jay, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of Dota Alchemy, in which I'm going to be discussing what the best offlaners are in the current patch of 7.22b. By the time I make this video, probably BC, but these heroes will still be absolutely busted, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Hero number 3, Pangolier. So in patch 7.22, this hero was changed such that Lucky Shot no longer has a chance to silence and it always disarms, and it now reduces armor by 3, 4, 5, and 6 at all of the levels respectively. So initially looking at this looks like a nerf because obviously silences generally are better than disarms. They just are. Spells are the most useful thing in Dota. However, with that being said, I actually think this is a bit of a buff because it is now a more consistent ability. Consider the following example. So let's say you have this game, right? You have a Juggernaut on the enemy team, you have a Lina on the enemy team. You want the Lina to be silenced because she's a spellcaster, or you want the Jug to be disarmed because he's a right clicker. However, you have a choice in a team fight. You can only go for one of them. What if you silence the Jug and he just Manta styles it off? What if you disarm the Lina and she doesn't care because she just keeps casting spells? You're essentially leaving team fights up to a roll of the dice on old Pangolier. But with new Pangolier, you don't have a choice. You are just a disarming hero. You would go on the hero and try to use your swashbuckle and disarm the right-click carry. And there's a right-click carry in every game of Dota. So this hero is essentially just far more consistent because of the removal of this silence. And I think that's a good thing. With that being said, on top of that, they also changed it so it now reduces armor. That is a straight buff. This ability essentially does two things when it used to only do one. It just would rotate between them. It would either silence or disarm. Now it does a disarm and a minus armor. So this ability is significantly better in my opinion. And then on top of that, in this patch, they added an Aghanim Scepter with Pangolier, where every time you use your shield crash, it shoots out at every angle, north, west, south, east, a swashbuckle. So if you have a basher and you do this, and you also have the talent for the 2-second shield crash and ball, this is constantly bashing people. It is the most frustrating thing to play against. Even if you have a BKB, it makes Pango an absolute monster in the late game in terms of disable. So because of these two things, and the fact that Pango was already a good hero in the previous patch, this is an S tier offlaner right now. Hero number 2, Sand King. So before 7.22, I was absolutely convinced that Sand King was basically the only S tier offlaner that was actually available to pick in competitive play. Now that 7.22 has hit, the verdict is still out on what exactly is S tier. You know, Spirit Breaker or something like that might turn out to be amazing, but who knows? But this hero is particularly strong still because, of course, he wasn't nerfed. So the reason this hero is so incredibly strong is that due to the way Sandstorm functions, it pushes lanes, it does a lot of damage, it makes you incredibly difficult to kill. It's amazing for laning. This hero does not lose lanes in Dota. Basically, the only way that you can lose a lane is if you lose the sentry battle, aka if the enemy support dewards your sentry and they have a sentry available to scout you in Sandstorm. But the thing is, because Sandstorm pushes out waves, you can use that as a method to secure sentry dewarding. And that's kind of insane. Like, this hero can't lose lanes if he has Sandstorm, and he can't lose the sentry battle because Sandstorm. Honestly, it needs to be nerfed, probably. So not only is this hero amazing at laning, it's also amazing in the mid to late game. This is probably the single best dead lane taking hero in Dota, aka you can just run yourself to the most uncomfortable place on the map and you can occupy that area very easily with Sand King. You just Sandstorm and then sit in the trees within the Sandstorm. With that being said, this hero has always been particularly amazing in team fights, especially with the buff to Sandstorm where you can move around during it. Basically, you do tons of burst damage with Epicenter, and then you do tons of long-term damage over time with Sandstorm, and you have an 11-second cooldown, 2.2-second, extremely long-range stun. So basically, in a fight, you're doing tons of damage, both over a long period of time and burst damage, and you're one of the best stunners and initiators in the game. The number one offlaner in Dota currently is Mars. And this should not come as a shock to people, because the hero was just added to Dota, and it was ubiquitously considered broken, and then it got a couple of minor nerfs, and it's now added to Captain's Mode. Chances are this hero is going to get nerfed over and over and over again and continue getting picked, so definitely get your MMR while it's hot with this one. So the main problem with Mars in terms of, I guess, what makes him overpowered, I shouldn't say problem because I play this hero, so I'm fine that it's broken, free MMR. But the main issue with this hero is that the moment you get 6 and you can start using your Arena of Blood plus Spear of Mars combo, you are basically able to apply pressure to anywhere on the map. And in my opinion, that is not something that a hero should be able to do. If you consider a regular offlaner, like, let's say Tidehunter or Abyssal Underlord, something like that, and these heroes have a really difficult laning stage, they can fall behind and feel kind of useless, where they are just an ultimate, and you need to pair up with multiple different heroes to have that hero be effective. You can fall that far behind, where like a carry can solo against a Tidehunter, for example. The moment Mars hits 6, no carry can really lane against him. And in the worst case scenario, you can typically pair up with one other hero on the map, and nobody can be there because you press your ultimate, you press your spear, and you need about 100 extra damage to kill somebody. That's a problem. And another issue is that the Spear of Mars has unlimited potential. It's essentially a combination between Pudge Hook and Marana Arrow. And those are two abilities that are notorious for the fact that if you are high skill with these heroes, you can win any game at any point, as long as you hit a good arrow, as long as you hit a good hook. So imagine a combination of both of those. Obviously, that's going to be obscenely strong. And to top that all off, this hero is one of the strongest laners in the game. He's one of the most tanky heroes in the game. And he can walk up to a creep wave with the Soul Ring, use the ring, God's Rebuke, Spear of Mars, entire wave dies instantaneously. So this hero, not only can he come back by killing people because he's the best ganker in the game when he gets level 6, also he is able to flash farm incredibly quickly. He does too many things, he needs to be nerfed. Get your MMR while it's hot. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video.